About 500 rescue workers from around the world arrived in Ecuador to assist in rescue efforts after Saturday's volcano. And the decision to impeach Brazil's president now rests with the Senate. Those are our headlines. My name is Reagan, Vignes, and this is From the South. Thank you so much for joining us. Ecuadorian authorities tirelessly continue to search for survivors after the past weekend's 7.8 magnitude earthquake. Images of the destruction have shocked the world. The government has assigned $300 million to recovery efforts. Today, the number of casualties rose to over 370. Earlier last night, President Rafael Correa warned that the number could be higher. Some 500 medical and rescue workers from 9 different countries have been dispatched to Ecuador to assist in rescue operations. Meanwhile, Bolivia has sent tons of medicine, food and water, and Cuba has announced that it will send a group of over 700 doctors and rescue workers to the South American nation. The mayor of New York, Bill de Blasio, has announced that the city will raise funds to help in the reconstruction of the affected areas. And earlier today, our correspondent Jose Luis Granado Ceja visited Puerto Viejo, one of the 6 coastal states affected by the earthquake.
I'm in Puerto Viejo, Ecuador, one of the cities most impacted by Saturday night's earthquake, inside the ECU 911 building, which has effectively become the command center for the government response to the natural disaster. Here, Minister of Defense Ricardo Patiño, who has been tasked by President Rafael Correa with leading the efforts, is holding meetings with separate teams to determine the best response and the most necessary urgent needs of the people who have been affected by the earthquake. Right now, the priority continues to be rescue and recovery, but also now, with the survivors, making sure that their basic needs are met, including food, water, and shelter.
And the Union of South American Nations, UNASUR, has expressed concern over the impeachment vote in the lower house. In a statement issued by the regional body, it criticized the lack of debate and legal basis, explaining that, quote, the decision adopted by Brazil's lower house to impeach President Rousseff without any real discussion is of concern to all of the region, end quote. UNASUR added, quote, the democratic election of Dilma Rousseff as the constitutional president cannot be overruled by a parliamentary majority unless there is evidence of a crime, end quote. Argentina has issued over $12.5 million in bonds. The funds obtained from selling the bonds will be used almost entirely to pay the group of creditors, the so-called vulture funds. The money which will remain from the transactions will be used to pay part of the fiscal deficit. Mexican authorities are on alert after the Popocatépetl volcano spitted ash some 3 kilometers into the air. The ash rain was the strongest since 1994 and covered the city of Puebla. For several weeks, the government has monitored the volcano due to the activity it's presented. It's located 80 kilometers away from the capital, Mexico City. Floods in Chile's capital, Santiago, have left residents without water. The Mapocho River overflowed for the first time in 3 decades. Authorities have issued a red alert in the city, and cistern trucks carrying water from other cities are helping to cope with the crisis. Fisheries experts from across the Caribbean have ended their 14th Caribbean Forum with a pledge to boost fisheries and aquaculture. The region has been struggling with high food import bills and struggles with food security. Our correspondent Alison Kentish reports from St. Lucia.
Lazarus Alfred has been fishing from the time he was 17 years old. He knows the struggles of life at sea, and he says while there are some good days, lately it has been hard to earn a living from the sea. Alfred speaks of less fish, warmer temperatures and more intense storms. Factors, he says, come together to make fishing a very hard way of life. He is hoping that Caribbean fisheries experts, through the Fisheries Forum, will give greater consideration to access to finance by fishermen as they deliberate on challenges plaguing the Caribbean's vital fisheries sector.
Having them get in their own boats if they would like to, like having the loan easier to them, like granting them the favor of the loan, because they have a lot of people who would like to have their own boat and who are very good fishermen. You know, But you know, it goes through difficulty of them having a loan or something, or somebody to, you know, give them the way out. You know, so I should think they should look into that with fishermen.
Member states of the Caribbean Fisheries Forum are conducting their annual stock taking and planning for the regional fisheries sector.
While our coastal and marine ecosystems and their biological diversity are valuable national and regional assets, which have been providing us with significant benefits, sadly in many countries, unemployment, poverty are major problems. The livelihood and quality of life of many of our fisher folk and our fishing communities must be improved.
The fishermen we spoke to are cautiously optimistic that regional bodies like the Caribbean Fisheries Forum will bring about the measures needed to boost the sector and save their livelihoods. According to data provided by the Caribbean Regional Fisheries Forum, the fisheries sector provides direct employment for 338,000 people in the region, generating $251 million in revenue annually. Alison Kentish, teleSur's, St. Lucia.
Syria's opposition coalition has asked the UN envoy to postpone formal negotiations until the government is, quote, serious about a political transition. Stefan de Mistura said the talks still had time as the timetable for getting a new constitution and achieving a political transition would continue until August. Meanwhile, rebel groups vow to strike back against alleged truce violations. Analysts believe that the incorporation of extremist groups in the talks will be a major challenge in reaching an agreement. However, de Mistura remains confident.
On Friday, this Friday, take stock of the discussions, review what we have come up with, having learned from every side their own positions, and then decide on how and when to move forward on what anyway is expected to be a series of discussions on and off in order to focus on concrete political transition.
Human trafficker arrivals by boat have increased in Europe due to calmer seas, and earlier today, 2 tragic accidents claimed the lives of refugees on board. In one incident, over 500 refugees drowned when their boat capsized in the Mediterranean. However, the figure has yet to be officially confirmed. In a separate incident, 6 bodies were recovered and over 100 refugees were rescued when a rubber dinghy sank off the coast of Libya. Clashes broke out between police and refugees after a police van ran over a refugee at the Idomeni camp. Some refugees hurled stones at the van as fighting took place. Officers responded by using tear gas. The man was treated by staff members from Doctors Without Borders, then taken to a nearby hospital. The United States will send an extra 200 troops to Iraq to help fight Islamic State militants. U.S. Defense Secretary Ash Carter said this during an unannounced visit to Baghdad earlier today. Carter met with U.S. military officials and Iraq's Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi. The deployment will increase the number of U.S. personnel in Iraq to about 4,100. Alongside the additional troops, Apache attack helicopters will be deployed for the first time against the militants. At least 21 people were wounded after a bomb exploded on a bus in southern Jerusalem. 2 casualties were taken to hospital in serious condition following the blast. According to police, bomb disposal experts determined that the device exploded in the back half of the bus. Investigators are still trying to determine who planted the bomb. An Israeli soldier caught on video shooting a wounded Palestinian assailant in the head has been charged with manslaughter. Defense lawyers say the soldier took action fearing the Palestinian had a hidden bomb. Prosecutors, citing the testimony by the soldier's comrades and his apparently calm disposition, see it as an illegal shooting motivated by revenge. The soldier could face up to 20 years behind bars. 3 children are among 4 people who were killed in the Turkish border town of Kilis. According to the Kilis governor's office, 5 rockets came from the part of Syria controlled by so-called Islamic State militants. The town has a Syrian refugee camp and shells have landed from Syria in the past. And still in Syria, at least 4 people, including 1 child, were reportedly killed in the city of Kamishli. This after a crackdown against the Kurdistan Workers' Party by Turkish military allegedly spilled over the border. British Foreign Secretary Philip Hammond has announced that his government would provide funds for the new government of National Accord of Libya.
And I welcome too their commitment and determination to represent the whole of Libya and to deliver a better future for all the Libyan people. I was pleased to be able to announce that Britain is committing another £10 million for technical assistance to the government during this period.
Ethiopia is in the grip of its worst drought in decades. The government is appealing for aid to help over 10 million people there. Backed by the United Nations and charitable organizations, the government is trying to anticipate future needs by expanding the construction of wells, pumped groundwater, and also by trying to educate future generations about the importance of hygiene. "30,000 runners participated in the world's oldest race, the Boston Marathon. Elite runners took part in the race, but Ethiopia swept the event by winning both the men's and women's titles. Lemi Berhanu Haile and Atsedi Bayat's respective wins made it the first time the country has achieved this feat. And finally this evening, a new art museum opened in Brussels over the weekend and welcomed some 4,000 visitors. The area hopes to use the gallery to shed the negative image linked to the Paris and Brussels attacks. The Millennium Iconoclast Museum of Art is located on the banks of the city's industrial era canal in a largely Muslim area where a number of the November 2015 Paris attacks were from. For more on these and other stories, you can visit our website, telesurtv.net/English, and you can join us on Twitter, Facebook, and on Instagram. That's it for us this evening. Have a great evening. Bye.